Here's a junk computer. How much is it actually worth in scrap? If you pull everything apart, how much is the scrap material actually worth? How much gold is in there? How much aluminum? How much copper? First of all, let's weigh one of these computers. This one weighs in at about 18 pounds. Typically, you just can't set this out on the curb and get rid of it. You may end up having to pay to get rid of something like this. Our local area charges about 50 cents a pound to get rid of something like this. In order to get rid of this computer, it's going to cost you like $9 to get rid of it. Just for the heck of it, we'll pull all the pieces off and see what we've got. Before we start weighing all this, I'll show you the most valuable part of the computer. These high-powered magnets are worth like 50 cents each if you sell them on eBay. Of course, the gold components are the most interesting. There's a lot of interesting pieces. These are aluminum discs with palladium on there. Palladium is microns thin, so you would need a truckload to make up any amount of money of palladium. Some of these old capacitors also contain palladium and silver. And some of these old chips might have gold wire that connects everything together. If you apply heat to these boards, sometimes you can see these gold wires. A little bit like panning for gold. It's easy to see all the copper traces. A capacitor that looks like this contains the palladium. Inside the chip is where you may find some of those gold wires. These wires that connect the silicone wafer to the edge of the chip. They're not always gold, but they can be. Right here's the silicone wafer. Stuff like this is copper, so we'll add that to the copper. We have all these potential gold legs laid out. If we scrape the leg, you can see it's got that gold color to it. We'll test to see if it's gold on this stone with some acid. When I scrape this one, it almost looks like it's gold-plated copper. We'll add some of this 10-karat acid. I'll add some of these legs right to the acid to clean them up. All the wires in there, you can see it just bubble. Give it a little time and see if this is copper or if it's just burning off the impurities. We'll look around here for some other gold-looking wires. While I'm in here, I'll remove all the copper bits. There's actually copper between the fiberglass because the boards are layered. We'll pull this copper off, clean it, and add it to the rest of the copper. It is a bit like panning for gold. We'll put all the aluminum onto a scale, and we've got 3.5 pounds. If scrap's like 55 cents a pound, that would be about $2.60. If we weigh in all the scrap steel, that's about 12.5 pounds. At 9 or 10 cents for scrap, that's about $1.20. We'll keep adding it up. Here is one of the more valuable parts of the computer, are these hard drive magnets. If you look how much these are selling on eBay, they're about 50 cents. These magnets would be about $3. If you save anything, you want to save those magnets. With all the insulation removed, I'd say we have about ½ pound. With the copper all cleaned up, it's about $3 a pound, so that'd be about $1.50. We'll keep adding it up. The pins on this cable are silver. These fingers on the circuit board like this are gold. There's gold foils on some of these hard drive parts. In some of these old processors, there could be quite a bit of gold in there. The little wires that connect. This is all gold-plated wire. Trim off all these gold fingers. A lot of these gold-colored pins are gold-plated. Pull off all these gold foils. These gold-plated pins can be heated up and then pulled out of the circuit board like this. These are not solid gold pins. There's just a very thin coating on there. You can also depopulate the chips with a good sharp chisel. Folks that are doing this big time will just save all the boards and send them off to the factory to have them processed. There's a lot of DC motors that can be pulled out of here, stepper motors, fans. These motors are very small. Trying to pull the copper out would be very difficult. It is possible to sell fans like this and motors, but pretty difficult to sell them, not like the magnets. So how much gold is actually in one of these old PCs? To process gold like this would take very specialized chemicals and processes. Even if you apply heat to a chip like this is all ceramic. A chip like this is going to be more likely to have gold wires. We'll give it a few hits. We'll break the ceramic. Here's the center of the chip or the silicone wafer. The gold wires are not obvious, but there could be as much as 1/3 of a gram of gold in here. We'll go back to these legs and see if there's any gold in here. To me, that puddle looks pretty blue, which would be copper. These legs kind of have a copper look to them. In fact, when I put 22-karat acid on there, it's really bubbling. These pins are not gold, they're copper. If it was really 1/3 of a gram, that'd be about $33 a gram, so that'd be like $10. I think $10 is pretty unrealistic, but you might be able to say there's a couple dollars in gold. We'll toss that in. Any of the parts that have a higher concentration of gold will keep in one spot and then be able to recycle them later. All in all, there's about $9. Is it worth recycling these old computers yourself? Obviously your time's worth something. Me personally, I'd rather make like $5 than spend 10 to get rid of it. Aluminum, copper, steel is easy to recycle. For me, I'll probably use these magnets instead of selling them. I'll wait for the gold bits to accumulate before I do anything with them. For me, recycling my own computers makes sense.